Mike and Caleb Whorton.
What we have in store here is a little more the workshop line than some of the beginning workshops seemed, they were good, don't get me wrong, but it's not what I had in mind when I heard workshop, and we may be off base with how we're doing this, but this is just what we had in mind when we said workshop. Got a beginning outline here with some steps to start your local league chapter, and then some other thoughts on approaches to it. And then we're going to open the floor up for questions and answers. Well, I know that's dangerous sometimes, but we're going to give it a try. And then that is going to tell you a little bit about our league building we're about to start. The first step in getting your league chapter going is you've got to have a core. And everybody knows these people. It doesn't matter if you've ever talked politics with them or anything else. You get your small group of friends, acquaintances, church families, classmates, business associates, whoever you may find that might just remotely be interested. If you bring 50 people in, they hear the message, 10 of them are probably going to stick. And the way to start is people you can trust, people you've known your whole life. You set a date and time for your meeting, start promptly, and stay on schedule. And our chapter has been real successful, and what that is based upon is people getting the habit of coming. It's important to, if it's like our meeting is the third Thursday of every month and has been for years, we're going to get there at 6 o'clock to eat, and our meeting's going to start at 7, and we've only had a few venue changes because we've been outlast 2 restaurants in Elmore County. But stay on your schedule. People get used to coming, and it's important to send them out letters as well. I know a lot of us, like myself, would rather get things on email, but my daddy's generation here, they're more into getting a hard copy, and I believe his mailing those letters out every month is important in keeping people coming. You send those letters out, and I hear him do it all the time. I'm working with him now at the real estate office, and a couple days before the meeting, he takes time out of his busy schedule. He calls people up, and you can hear him, every one of them he talks to. It would mean a lot to me if you can make it here. He makes it personal. It's, if their dog's sick or their 18th cousin's graduating, it's easy to skip a meeting or anything else if you don't have it high enough on your priority list. If somebody makes it as if they're doing you a personal favor, it's going to move up the priority list, and they may skip their 18th cousin's graduation. We try to have a speaker every other month. 1 month we may just have a business session and talk about league business and current events, or everybody speak up, and we've even had times where we just go around a room and let everybody talk. But keeping a guest speaker on at least some kind of regular basis gives people something interesting. I mean, there's only so many events that you can talk about that relate to your league group that'll really keep people interested. Work on adding young people. High school, college age, all it takes is one. You get in every community, I know everybody talks about the younger generation. I cussed as much as people, longer than me in years. But all you got to find is one. That, like a longtime member over there in the striped shirt right beside Bert Jennings, that's Clay Payne. He's been a member of the league for, I guess, about 5 or 6 years now. And that's because I came up to him in the Prattville Walmart's parking lot when he had a Confederate bumper sticker on his truck. It's that simple. You find that 1 or 2 young people and they'll grow. And I've had a ton of my friends join the league. A lot of them are still members. Some of them are members for a while and drop out and come back. But we've got that core of young people, which is important, I believe. And all it takes is one. So if you want to get a successful league chapter going, I really think you need to search the town where you're at and find that one young man. If you have to go to the high school, talk to the history teacher, the ag shop, wherever you think you may find him. And you get that one young man to start the chapter with you, and it'll grow and you'll have young people involved. Announce birthdays and members at the meetings. We always mention everybody that's had a birthday near the meeting. We make it a family affair. People bring their kids. We've got from infants to 80-year-old members. We've got married couples, women come, girlfriends of the members. We just really try to involve everybody. And the more people you have counting on coming, the more difficult it is for somebody to back out. You know, take for instance a couple's 40 years old and they have 2 kids, 12 and 15. You know, there might be a special coming on one of the major news channels and the grown couple would like to watch it. Well, their kids get used to coming to that meeting every month. They enjoy being with everybody. We give them a job. They hand out raffle tickets or pass out information. And the more a family affair you make it, the more difficult it is for one person who doesn't want to be there to keep them all from coming. You show your members and prospective members the benefits of joining the league. And that's something I've heard him say many a times, but if you show somebody enough benefit, they can't say no. Another thing I don't have on my little chart here, but ask and you shall receive. It's biblical. Ask people to come. You show them, you know, people are not involved. People like to sit at home and drink beer and watch football and, you know, do whatever. Well, I'm not opposed to any of those things. But you show them advantage. You know, members barter. We have work days, you know, help other members out. I've had pasture burnings, deck buildings. And the most important benefit to joining the league to folks that have children is their children's inheritance. If they're content with the status quo and they say, well, I'm 60 years old, you know, it is what it is. They have children and grandchildren. They see it progressively getting worse, but it may not be that they expect it to get bad enough to be unbearable in their lifetime. It will in their children and grandchildren's lifetime. And that's the most important reason that you need to be a part of the league and encourage others to do so as well. Now, this is another quote here. I believe this is a Daddy Drew quote. You know, we couldn't get through this without a quote from Daddy Drew. But you take the fun out of it, there ain't much left. I'm sure y'all have heard him say that before, but there's a lot to that. We do a lot of things. We have our meetings, and while I enjoy the meetings, you know, that's not fun for a lot of people, but we have other events. There's always something going on with the league that makes people feel a part of it in our local chapter. We seek support of our local merchants and leaders. The business people are important to get along. Like there's a gas station, filling station, whatever you want to call it, up there close to our office. It's the Ricky Jones Shell. And I refuse, unless I'm out of town, I refuse to buy a drop of gas anywhere else, and I won't even go in the other stores in the area. And when you treat the merchants well, they're going to treat you well. We had a gun we raffled off a few years ago, and the owner of that store won the gun. Well, he told us to keep it, and that was just his donation to the league. We've got the league land we paid off and are about to start a building for. Or the president of a local bank financed that out of his own pocket. I mean, you've got to win over the community if you plan to be successful. We've got many different fundraisers. We've got our fish fry and auction we have every year. People bring something in and donate it, and just ask everybody to bring an item. And how much? What's the biggest fish fry we've had as far as money?
We've raised much as nearly $3,000.
It raised almost $3,000 in one day frying fish and having Bill Anthony back there auction stuff off. And everybody has a good time with it. There's a lot of members of the community that are not league members, but there are league supporters that look forward to that every year. See, we have a gun raffle I talked about a second ago. We've even raffled off a piece of land, which Bert Jennings won and also donated back to us. So that's a good thing about those raffles. If you're selling the tickets, you sell a lot to the community and also to your members. If one of your local members wins it, there's a good chance you get to keep the item. And I know it's never pleasant to pass the hat, but you got to do what you got to do. And we always make sure we pass the hat in all our meetings to fund the stamps and everything else. And that's a big part of the way we've raised our money. We've charitable work, cultivating goodwill that goes back to getting the merchants in the community to support you. We've donated money to scholarships for Christian daycares, cemetery funds when a cemetery was damaged or neglected. You get the people behind you, it removes some of the stigma of being a secessionist or all the nasty words they want to call you. Another big event is the Johnsons from Georgia came over to it one time, but most of our Alabama members come to the heritage event we have in Wetumpka. And I know that we're a political organization and we've got the Sons of Confederate Veterans, which I'm also a member of, that promotes the history and heritage end of it. But it's also important for us to not let that slip away. And we promote this event in April, and Dr. Hill usually speaks at it, and it just brings the community together. And to see several hundred people with flags, we'll have kids waving when we come across the bridge. It's just a good event we have, and I would encourage anybody that gets a chapter going to have some sort of public event like that and get you out in the eyes of the public. It's important to be seen in public areas with our Southern symbols to gain their trust and let them know that it's okay, that if they feel the same way as you, they'll know that they're not the only ones. And we, of course, assist our state and national leaders in setting written goals for your chapter. I know that's something that's out of style a lot now, is writing anything. But you set forth goals, and there's more encouragement. If you're set to raise $1,000, if you didn't have that goal that you're trying to raise $1,000 at this point, if you raise $800, you think you've done a fine job and you can go back home. Well, if you've got it written down that you plan on doing this or getting this many new members, you're not done and can't quit working until you get to that point. And that's pretty much our outline there as far as steps to forming a league chapter. But there's an important aspect left, and that's who's involved in your league chapter. And Mike and some of our more radical friends in here, don't get mad at me and walk out yet, just listen to where I'm going. But one of the most important things about having a league chapter that's going to thrive is diversity. And by diversity, I do not mean by any means begging minorities or undesirables or anybody else from joining or supporting you. The reason I believe Dr. Hill has been an effective leader of the league is because Dr. Hill can talk to somebody with a 5th grade education or a PhD and talk to them at a level they can understand it, and they're seeing a friend when they talk to him. There's a lot of different issues that the league takes on. It's really a multi-interest group. And you can't just focus on one thing. Different people have different interests. And what our chapter does, and what I believe Dr. Hill does as a league in general, is he tries to tie all these people together. But you can't focus your attention of your meetings on one issue. There's several groups that make it up. You've got the constitutionalists. Well, I agree with the Mike Crane line of thinking that I'm not real fond of the Constitution. I'm an anti-federalist, I guess you'd say. But people that fight for preserving the Constitution, people that are going to track these House bills and Senate bills, and they're important parts of the group. And they're going to be some of your hardest workers. So just because you take the approach of the anti-Constitution, anti-government end of it, there's people that are going to want to work within the government. Well, you can't push those members away. You've got to welcome them in with open arms, and they're mad about federal spending and taxes, and even if they hadn't come around to the ultimate solution of secession and separation, let them have their time. Let them do what they think is best for the cause of Southern independence. They may not even have an interest in our Southland or history or future. But if they're against the same things as us, bring them in and they can come around to the historical end of it or the future secession end of it in their own time. Then you've got your Kennist. The Kennist movement is one that's often frowned upon by others. And I'm sure there's even league groups where you get you run out for it. That's the most hard-working, dedicating, most sincere members you'll find are the people that are in it from a cultural and who we are point of view. Even if you disagree with the rationale or you aren't interested in the role our genetic heritage plays into who we are and why we're the way we are, that's no need to try to run those people off. Yeah, that may get you called a racist or anti-Semite or whatever you want to be called more often, but don't run these people off. Even if you don't agree with all the views, nobody's going to agree on everything 100%. And if being called a name is going to scare you from associating with certain people, you're in the wrong movement, because you've got to have tough skin to be a leader in the League of the South. Got your good old boys. That's a good percentage of our chapter. Rural country people. They may not know anything about their history, their heritage. They do know they're proud to be from the South. And that's a huge percentage of the South. They may not have any interest in politics whatsoever, but they're proud of being from the South, and we're supposed to be representing Southern interests. Those are our people. That is a huge chunk of what we're fighting to protect, is their lifestyle, even if they don't realize how important it is. You see them all the time with the bumper stickers. Those are prospective members. It may be the cutout letters with redneck with a Confederate flag across it. They may not have left 6th grade, but those will be some of your hardest working members you'll find. Then you've got the strictly historians. They're mad because of the Confederate symbols being removed from this place or another. Those are potential League members. Every time the SCV does something, they offend another big chunk of people that need somewhere to go, and we can give them a home. Then you've got your people like Dr. Sanders, the economist, sound money people. He's awakened a lot of us in here, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have much thought about gold and silver versus paper money. But those are just a few of the things that interest a lot of different people, and you really need to try them all together. And I would like to commend Dr. Hill for always making everybody feel welcome. That's about all we have prepared for that. Does anybody have any chapter questions about starting a local chapter or anything about how we've done it? Josh? Right. Well, to be honest with you, Josh, it's stereotypes. You take a look at somebody and they can say what they want about stereotypes. Most of them are there for a reason. And you see somebody, you could usually tell whether they're a history buff type guy, or you can look at them and, if it's somebody out there and you see a shotgun in the back window and a fishing pole laying in the back and they've got on a pair of camouflage breeches, I would suggest just going they're always trying to take our flag away route. If they're driving around in a Mercedes, then chances are you could take a historical point of view when you see the first national flag on the front of their Mercedes. Bill? Yeah, I agree with that, Bill. I'm glad you mentioned that. Brother Jimmy Brown always does a fine message, and I hate I left that out of the outline, and for future reference, we'll make sure to put that in there. And also, as far as getting a chapter going, if you're going to have a meeting at 7 o'clock, folks really don't have time to go home and prepare supper, so it is very important to have something for them to eat there. Yes, sir. Right. Right. I agree with that. The Free Magnolia is a valuable tool for that, and we need to be utilizing it more than we are, including our chapter. But another thing I would suggest, when I do hand them out, I always staple a business card or some kind of message where they can contact you personally about it. It's another thing that, they see that, they're going to say, this guy took it, it's interesting, but they may forget about it. But if you take the time out of your life to make it personal and send a message to them directly, even if it's just a card, but even better would be a handwritten note. Give me a call if this is something you might be interested in. Right. Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and that's another group in there when I named off about 5 or 6 different types of people the League attracts. That is another group that we need to be hitting hard. And also, like the Ron Paul Revolution, when Ron Paul fails in November, those people are going to need somewhere to turn to. Yes, sir, I'll do that. All right, the question here is people that have joined at one time or started coming and then slacked off. And my suggestion there is just be relentless. Make it where they hate to see you. I mean, I know that's not polite in some cases, but I've got friends of mine that are scared to call me if they hadn't paid their league dues. And sometimes you just got to make folks do right. That's the last step. Of course, first you just want to make them feel missed. It's kind of like a lot of times at churches, and you'll hear him, especially call it the day after the meeting. If somebody, a regular, doesn't make it, he's going to call them and let them know they were missed.
What about the people who you invite that are not members that always voting good? I mean, they say they'll come, they don't usually keep on.
Yeah, you could always just go pick them up. We've done that before. Especially when I was in high school, I would just load my car up in the afternoons and just refuse to take them home until after the meeting. You can really shame people into doing right, especially, if you got somebody that you're inviting that just always has a different excuse. Call them up a week beforehand and just say, we really want you to make it. You mind if I come by there to pick you up? And if at that point, if they won't get in the car with you, if you take your time to go get them, then at this point, they're probably just a lost cause. And they may come around at a later date. I still encourage you to try when you see them, but just try that out. All right, well, I reckon that's about all for the questions about starting the chapter. And now Daddy's going to tell you a little bit about what we have going on as far as our groundbreaking ceremony and such.
Thank you, Caleb. I'll tell y'all one thing, it makes it easier in forming a chapter when you get people, your son like Caleb and friends like Bill Anthony and a table full of like that, those men sitting right over there and a lot of others and support from Dr. Hill and stuff. We very seldom have less than, say, 40 people. There'll be 40 to 60 people at each meeting. As Bill said, we've outlasted 2 restaurants. We're now meeting in our real estate office, and we had 3 rooms full, and they're kind of all open together, and people are crowding up to the doors trying to get the message. This last meeting, I don't know, I expect we had close to 60 people in there. The air conditioner couldn't handle it. But, they leave there, they have a good time, and if you show somebody enough benefit, that's the main thing. And they're going to come back. But when you're surrounded with people like this, of course, they weren't all there from day one. But we started out with about 10, 11, and I expect over half of them are original members. And we had one member that went over 8 years without missing a meeting. And then it was due to some sickness that he didn't finally miss one. But we also involved in the government of the county, talking about getting involved, and as opposed to what you can do. You can do more on a local level than you can on a state or national level. The county commission had already had it up on their website. It was a, what do they call that plan? Comprehensive plan. And you know what comprehensive means. It was definitely comprehensive. But I heard Mike talking about a while ago, well, they may have better plans for your property than you do for yourself. They had bicycle paths planned. They were fixing to start reserving an easement across the property of every piece of property that transferred for future use down the road. And don't think that they hadn't got a plan for 20 or 30 years from now. They were starting that knowing it would be a long time before they could pull it together. The first meeting was held at the Old South Restaurant. We probably had 120 people there, league people. Couldn't even get the public in. But from that, a group was started called Concerned Landowners. We rented the Civic Center in Wetumpka and had nearly 700 people there. That plan was repealed. It's been removed from their website. But believe you me, we know that they're not, and 3 of the commissioners of the 5 lost their job in the following 2 or 3 months. One of those we didn't oppose. But I'd like to take a few minutes and tell you from the, how old is that chapter? 10 years old?
Yes, about 10 years old.
10 years old now. We started working, we thought we wanted to be real, and being a farmer, I know that, you know, real estate, they don't call it real estate for nothing. It is real. I said we need to own land. We acquired 4 acres of land. We talked about it here in Abbeville a few years ago, and I see so many people in here that's helped us over the years. We paid for that land. As Caleb had told you, a banker there in town financed that out of his pocket. And now he's financing the building out of his bank. The building's going to have nearly 4,000 square feet in it. Jerry Holly, contractor, has joined the league, and it was a blessing. He has called in more favors, and people are doing work that you couldn't believe. I mean, they've cut it to the bone to get us in that building. That building is going to mean a lot to that community. It's going to mean a lot to the state, and it could be something with these chapter formations that could spread all across the South, even further than what we've gone so far. I think the chapter formation is the main thing. I heard Mike saying a while ago, if we have a chapter, and if it wasn't in every county, if everybody within, say, 50 miles had a chapter they could go to, that's no drive. Caleb and I go to a meeting somewhere every week, a League of the South meeting in Alabama. We're at one every week somewhere. Some of them we drive 50, 60 miles to or further. But getting back to the building, we have the blueprint over there on the table. The electricity is going in on site there today. Our loan is set to close. It could have closed today, but it's going to be Monday before we finalize that. But the workers are already on site. You'll see pictures of the groundbreaking, the ceremony that we had last week. That building, we're going to offer things in there like the government used to be involved. You had extension service. They'd come out. You'd have canning, dehydration, freezing techniques. They say that, you know, about cutting spending. Well, they cut spending in areas like that. Anything that was beneficial to the rural people, from working their driveways or anything else that the government might have done to help the little people or the rural people or small farmers, has dried up. Franklin was talking about 500 acres left in Tennessee. I forget the number. There's 50 left in Alabama. There used to be 60 in the county I live in. But we're going to do those kind of demonstrations, bring people in the community into our place. We thought about starting a program on an evening a week, inviting local musicians in. Another big thing, and I talked about Dr. Hill, and I talked with Jimmy Brown, and he's our chaplain. He's a state chaplain for the Alabama League. We're going to start an independent church in the building. And that's going to be one of the first things that we do. While the church and the league is not necessarily have the same goals on everything, they don't have to be in conflict, I don't think. So I think it'll just go, hand in glove. We're going to try to reach out all across that area. And we're not going to try to, we're going to do it. You see, another thing on the chapter formation, I've heard we're talking about Daddy Drew. Caleb and I are both named for my granddad, but I can see the dark tan face, the lines in his face from lessons learned in life. He was kind of a no-nonsense type fella. But there's not people, a lot of times, a lot of cases, and not men and women left out there to teach our young people, and it's up to us to stand up and be that kind of role model. I've heard him say, not about his kids, but you'll hear him, hey, I don't want my kids to have to work like I did. Well, they don't. Yeah, they don't. But I'm going to tell you, hey, it sounds easy enough for Caleb, what he's telling you, and it is easy enough, but there's one thing in there that nothing can replace. It's hard work. You got to work hard. But, the benefits are pretty sweet. When those cars start pulling in every month, and I see those young people come in, people leaving out of there excited about what we're going to do next. That building is going to be a hardy plank building with a metal roof, over 3,800 of heated and cooled space. It's going to have a great kitchen in it. It might just be adequate for a national conference one day. But we're so excited about getting in it. And I tell you, we paid that land off in about, 3.5 years? $50,000 piece of property. And we're taking on a little more debt with this building, but I say, if not now, when? And you can't save up $120,000. Hey, that I don't mind telling you, and that building appraised for over $380,000, and we're only going to be carrying about $120,000 debt. And I'll bet you we may end up with less than that, because I've got one man now that's telling me that he's going to provide the air conditioning. That's a $10,000 item for that building. But hey, we still got insulation and some other stuff left if anybody here would like to donate something to the building. But we're going to put plaques in there for the families that does donate like that. But we can't do it. We've had all of y'all, you've heard me talk about it in Chattanooga. We first started talking about it right here. And it hadn't just been the local people, but we get a pledge every month from Chicago, Illinois. But we're promoting independence. First, you got to become independent in your own home. Just returning the way we used to be when we were, and we don't have to be. Everybody don't have to be a farmer. I mean, hey, my nephew's sitting down in front of the real estate office selling watermelons today. Bert Jennings was telling me he should have brought a load of watermelons. He's been selling watermelons all week. Next year at the conference, we're going to bring a load of watermelons. But he had some good ones too. But if we can promote that kind of independence in our community and in our families, it'll spread all over the South. We'll get what we want. But it's just going to take hard work. Rural people and independent people, they may not polish their boots much, but they don't have to polish other folks' boots either. The other thing, y'all, we got the diagram, we've got a small blueprint for the building over there, the floor plan. I'd like for y'all to come by and look at it. Also, we have a framed and matted print of something we all believe in. keep your powder dry, something we need to be doing, and in good supply too, I might add. But that's a nice wild turkey print. Raffle tickets are $1 each. Hey, we've already sold enough today to buy several boxes of nails to go in that new building, but I'd be much obliged if y'all would come by that table, if nothing else, just to take a look, or if you see where you can do something to support us, we'd be very grateful. But Caleb, you have anything else you'd like to add?
Just one more quick thing. Anybody that might be interested in starting a local chapter, we've got kind of a little outline here of some of the things we talked about to keep in mind when starting a chapter. We've got copies over there in a folder on the table.
A couple of other things that we're going to do there during the garden season and stuff. We've got 4 acres of land with this building. We're going to start a program where local farmers with locally grown produce can come there and set up in the shade on the porch of the building and sell their produce. That's going to bring people in there to see what the league's doing. And also we're going to have a garden on site. This is great land. It's a good building soil, but it's also great farming soil. And we're going to have a demonstration garden. We're going to give lessons in gardening. And these, we're talking about the canning and dehydration and freezing techniques and stuff. We've got members that know how to do that. We even plan to have a hog killing. I went to one in Georgia over around Columbus back in February. We killed 2 hogs that day. They had somebody from the University of Georgia there, a Dr. Hill from Georgia, and he come taught that, and I thought there'd probably be a handful of people there. I got over there, it was about 200 people. Now, they had 2 prices. One was hands-on, where you got to actually help do it, and they had curing techniques. But we shot the hogs, drug them out of the pen, slaughtered them, cut them up. Then they had the hams in different stages. They had the smokehouse already there. And so, and Dr. Hill, amazingly, he doesn't teach at Georgia anymore. He was about retirement age, and they wanted him to do direct deposit. Dr. Hill told me he was the kind of man that liked to feel his money. So he quit his job over that, and he's doing this class now over there all over the state, and it's just been very successful. It just shows you that people are hungry for that kind of thing, and it truly will spread. And the goodwill and the love that y'all have shown our chapter, I can't tell you how grateful we are and how thankful we are for your support. Look forward to seeing y'all all in Alabama one of these days right away, but we plan on finishing this building this fall. So that's how close we are to making it happen. Thank you very much.